I once had a group of very smart people tell me that they were getting derailed by something called emergency planning, or rather, that's what they called it. And after I heard this a few times, I needed to know what it was because emergency and planning, unless you work for FEMA, those two things don't really go together. These people were engineers. What followed was a conversation that I'm going to share with you. And there was a deceptively simple realization that they had that really changed how they experienced planning. And it took the emergency right out of it. So I'm going to share that with you in this episode here today. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. Years ago, I was working with several clients from a large technology company whose name you definitely know, but I won't divulge. And these clients kept referring to something called emergency planning. They were super frustrated they had to make time for it and that it took them a long time. But because these people were software engineers, they were managers, they were directors, they were VPs, I couldn't quite grasp what the heck they were talking about. What kind of emergencies did they mean? Well, I'd worked with tech startups for 15 years before I started this business. And, I couldn't ever recall doing any kind of emergency planning related to tech, right? Yeah, emergencies happened occasionally, like sometimes the site went down, but these weren't emergencies that required several days of advanced planning like my clients were talking about. And so at the risk of making myself look very foolish, which I'm pretty much always willing to do in order to find out what I don't know, I asked what they meant. And I was pretty surprised to find out that they meant annual planning and quarterly planning, like planning for the quarter ahead and planning for the year ahead. And I was kind of baffled, so I asked another question. Why? Why are you calling it emergency planning? And the answer came back. Well, because it always feels like fire drill. All of a sudden, we have to throw out all of our priorities to focus on a week of planning. And my next logical, I think, question was, right, but doesn't it happen every quarter? Doesn't it happen every year? Isn't it to some degree predictable? And the answer came back. Well, yeah, it does happen every quarter. It does happen every year. But because the time isn't allocated on the calendar, it feels like an emergency with a tight deadline that throws everything off schedule. And before I could even open my mouth, the aha moments started flowing out of theirs. They said, right, so if I block the time in advance on a recurring basis, then I won't have to feel like it's an emergency that throws everything into chaos because I will know that it's coming and I will have held that space. Yep, I couldn't agree more. And so that's what they did. And now there's no more emergency planning. I have not heard from that team those words emergency planning in quite a while. Now, you may have been scarred in the past by annual planning, trying to fit it into your busy year end, just like my clients, or quarterly planning. It happens 4 times a year. Or maybe making detailed plans, being forced to, and then not looking at them again until October when you start to freak out, realizing that you're not even close to accomplishing the goals set back in December of last year. So I'm going to help you out. I've got a free resource that I want to share with you that is going to help you to think about the quarter ahead, to make concrete, doable plans. And you can do this in under an hour, probably even less. It is a quarterly planning guide, and I'm going to link to it in the show notes. So if planning has historically stressed you out, I want you to consider this kind of a salve. And if you've always meant to do a little bit of planning, but you had no idea where to start, this is a really simplified step-by-step guide to get you going. If you intend to plan, but you find that you never make the time, I'm going to give you one more tip. Right now, block off the time for next quarter and the next so that you won't be faced with emergency planning ever again. If you're loving this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you took just a moment to give it a 5-star review. This isn't a vanity metric, although, of course, I want to know if you like it. Your reviews help other listeners find the show. It really makes a difference. So your review is a sort of pay it forward type of good deed.